Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm privileged to welcome a very, very accomplished medical doctor, a spinal surgeon, who's turned an entrepreneur from Yorkshire, UK, Dr. Manoj Krishna. Dr. Krishna, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ashutosh. My pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Dr. Krishna is the founder of the HumanWisdom project and the HumanWisdom app. He's an author, and all of you know I'm very partial to authors. He's an author of a book titled Understanding Me, Understanding You, stress-free, and he's been a spinal surgeon for 22 years. So Manoj, let me first ask you a question. From a spinal surgeon to human wisdom, tell me about your journey in brief.
You know, I've always been interested in the human condition. I remember when I was 18, cycling to college and asking myself, why do I feel lonely? You know, I had so many friends. Why do I feel lonely? And I looked, all the religions offered no answer. The books offered no answer. So you begin your own journey of learning about yourself. And then in 2018, I was driving home from work after 10 hours in surgery. And a hospital in the Middle East got bombed. It was a children's hospital. The news was on, these children were screaming. And I felt we human beings need to do better. We can do better. And there is the wisdom in the world to do better.
Correct.
We just need to share this with everyone. So that's when I transitioned out of medicine, started working with children. And I discovered to my amazement that they already have this wisdom inside them.
Amazing.
But we are missing a trick because we think education is about stuffing their heads with what we know. In fact, it should be drawing out from them the wisdom that's already inside them. In fact, it's in every human being.
Correct.
And that's been my passion and mission because I believe that could create a better future for humanity.
Amazing. And more power to you. So Manoj, you also say that understanding ourselves and how our minds work awakens our inner intelligence, which leads to wisdom and can lead to transformation. Help me understand this and try and give me an example.
Okay. Just as our heart works in the same way, so does our mind.
Right.
Just as scientists studied the heart and found so many ways to prevent problems and address them, studying the way our mind works can do the same. Now, you and I think our minds are different, you see. But our hearts are the same. Maybe look different, maybe slightly different sizes, but they work in the same way. So our mind is the same. For example, we're all conditioned by our influences, but we're not aware of it. And we are attached to our conditioning. After all, why is somebody Russian or Ukrainian, Indian or Pakistani, Hindu or Muslim? It's just conditioning.
Correct.
So if you understand that the differences between us are very superficial, and underneath, the process of conditioning is the same in you and me. We have just read different storybooks which we have believed.
Right.
See, that allows us to put our differences to one side and connect as the human beings that we are. Because we know deep down, it's the same process of conditioning that works in you and me. See, I'm not a religious man, but I love this line from Jesus Christ, which said, Lord, forgive them, for they know not what they do.
Correct.
And they know not what they do because they don't understand their conditioning.
Well said.
And this conditioning determines everything. Your opinions, your beliefs, which you think are original and your own, but actually they've come from somewhere because you weren't born with them, right? Your food habits, everything is determined by that. It's not wrong, but understanding that allows us to respond with this inner intelligence, with wisdom.
Wow.
The more I understand me, the more I understand you. And the more compassion I have for you, because you are not aware of your own conditioning and how it's driving your own behavior. See? You understand?
What a great response. Thank you. So let's talk about the Human Wisdom Project now, Manoj. Tell me, what was the inspiration to create this project, and how would you define human wisdom?
Okay, let's start with the second one. Human wisdom is just looking and learning about yourself. That's all. About the mind that we humans share. It's like you and me looking at the moon together. Right? I might point out one or two things, but when you start looking, you'll say, Manoj, by the way, did you notice there's the other 3-4 things that you missed? So together we are learning, right, about this mind we share. And just like Isaac Newton in 1666 saw an apple fall from a tree in his mother's garden and asked why. We can be explorers of our inner spaces and ask why. Why do I feel lonely? Why do I feel afraid? Why do I not like people I've never met? Like if I'm an Indian, I don't like Pakistanis or whatever it might be, or Russians, I don't like. Why? Why, despite our best intentions, do two people who marry not be able to get on? So those questions. So human wisdom is all about asking, looking, learning, asking questions, sharing what you learn. And together, we can make sense of this mind that is part of every human life. And it's, enlightenment, a young Pakistani girl told me, is just shining a light.
Right.
All we're doing is shining a light into the unconscious mind that we all share. And once, it's like driving with the headlights on in a car, so you can avoid the potholes.
Correct.
And go in the right way. Otherwise, you'll bump into everything. This is what humans are doing. We're bumping into everything, And 80% of us are stressed, 40% are anxious. The stats go on. 1 in 4 Americans has a diagnosed mental health problem. 1 in 6 has a substance abuse problem.
Wow.
Can you imagine this? And I'm sure the stats are the same the world over. It's just they collect the data, better than most countries. That's all.
Absolutely. Well said.
More than half of relationships are unhappy, Ashutosh. All of that can be addressed with this deeper self-understanding, which is why it can bring transformation.
Amazing. Amazing. And what would you say are some of the key principles of philosophies that guide the Human Wisdom Project?
That's the beauty of this. There is no authority needed. You are your own teacher.
Aham Brahman.
You see? You are looking at the moon. You are the person who is investigating. There is no philosophy required. You only need some guiding principles, which is to be honest with what you're looking at, to be a scientist, to look without judgment, not regard. You never look at the moon and say it's right or wrong. It's just the moon.
Correct.
Similarly, whatever you notice in yourself is not right or wrong. To have the curiosity of a child. Why? What's going on? To have this curiosity, see, and to have a mind that is open to learning. So when you see something that's different to what you know, your mind is open and curious. Like most people are not aware that they're conditioned and they're attached to their conditioning. It's so obvious when you point it out. And they say, my God, I don't know. How come I didn't see it?
Very interesting. And, based on what we were discussing before we started recording and what you just told me, how does the project contribute to a person's individual growth and overall well-being?
I've had this amazing insight recently that all human suffering is a creation of our unconscious thinking.
Okay.
All right. I'm talking, when I say all, I mean the vast majority. Not the person who's starving to death for no food, that kind of suffering.
Yeah.
And give you one small example. In a relationship, we all have expectations, right? My expectations come from my own thinking, but I'm not aware of them. Then I expect you to meet them. When they're not met, I get angry, hurt. Then I withdraw from you or I lash out, I get angry. So the expectation begins in my thinking. The suffering is in my thinking. And the damage to my relationships also comes from my thinking. I'm not aware of any of this, and I believe you're responsible. See? So all our suffering comes from how our mind, unconscious mind, is automatically reacting to its environment. The moment you see that really clearly, and you say, okay, I need to find out why my mind is behaving in this way. So then you turn inwards. You go on this journey of learning about yourself and how your mind works.
Right.
And that learning brings freedom from all suffering.
Wow. Okay.
It's an incredibly beautiful thing. And there's a treasure inside everyone. And all we're doing with human wisdom is giving you the tools to find it for yourself. That's all. So there's no authority needed, you know. There's no guru required, nothing. You are your own guru. Be your own teacher.
You're just empowering each one of us.
Correct.
From within.
And starting with children. Children as young as 5 and 7 have this capacity for wisdom. Amazing. And we are missing a trick. You know, if we can awaken this wisdom in children, we can create a better future for humanity in 15, 20 years. It's not long.
Yeah, yeah. My next question is, what role does technology play as you are developing the project? And how do you see it evolving in the future?
You see, an app is such a beautiful thing because it's on your phone. There are 5 billion phone users in the planet now. So every one of those human beings can have it on their phone. So that's an easy way of distributing knowledge. But the other thing is, information doesn't bring transformation.
Right.
You know, we humans have read all those religious books for thousands of years. Look at our state. We're still killing each other in our millions.
Correct.
So the transformation occurs when you begin to look and learn about yourself. And what the app does is we have an online journal built into the app.
Right.
So every few screens, you're asked a question, which you have to reflect on. And it's in this asking yourself the question and writing down what you're learning about yourself. That's when the transformation occurs. And that's why technology in this case can be very, very useful.
Wow. Fascinating. Thank you. My next question is that, and I come back to you, that can you share a piece of wisdom that has guided your journey in creating and leading the Human Wisdom Project?
You know, the more you learn about yourself, the more you realize you are the same human being as everyone else. Not only are the same human being, but the energy that flows through you is also what flows through all of life. And from that deeper understanding comes compassion, if you like, for all living things, and to reduce suffering in the world. So that's what drives me, is this passion to reduce the suffering that is so unnecessary in the world. Imagine if we could avoid or prevent addiction, or we could prevent depression, which affects 10% of people.
Right.
Or prevent anxiety, which affects 30%, or stress, which affects 80%, or prevent relationship breakdown, which is like 50 to 70%, and so on. All of these things can be prevented, and we can then start addressing the big problems of humanity, climate change. Climate change, in the end, begins in our thinking.
Correct.
It comes from human behavior. Okay, let me take a minute and explain.
Sure.
Because it's the emptiness we have inside our heart that we try to fill with experiences and things on the outside. The more we buy and the better holidays and experiences we gather, we think that's going to make us feel better on the inside. But the pleasure is very short-lived, right? 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Then you need something more. So it's this lack of peace in ourselves that drives consumption, experiences, which is driving climate change. If we can live with the sense of peace in ourselves, consumption will find its natural balance. And there's enough in the world for everyone. Children as young as 10 understand this like that, Ashutosh. If we can share this with adults, you know, and get them to connect with their own wisdom, live with a sense of peace in themselves, we could even begin to address the problem of climate change. You know, no number of electric cars is going to fix the problem, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. My next question is that how do you ensure that the wisdom that is being shared is universally applicable regardless of cultural or societal differences?
Because we are connecting with a deeper level of humanity. No human being will say, my heart is different to yours. So no human being can say what you're sharing is different in different people. Regardless of how you look, your gender, what your experiences have been.
Right.
This treasure is waiting inside you for you to discover. And when you discover it, you realize, my God, it's the same treasure that Ashutosh also has. You see, it's not unique to you. Then that's the beauty of it. And that brings compassion, heals divisions, brings humans together, creates love in your life, you know.
Very interesting. What do you wish more people knew about the Human Wisdom Project?
I just wish people would realize, oh my God, I've been looking in the wrong place for my happiness and fulfillment. You know, we spend all our lives chasing jobs and money and fame and beautiful relationships and all of that to feel good in the world. So the mind is wired to look outside, to find something to make it feel good on the inside. And human wisdom gives you the tools to feel good on the inside, regardless of what's happening on the outside. So on the outside, your life can be ordinary. On the inside, it's extraordinary.
Well said.
Right now, it's the other way around. Right now, we're chasing and trying to make an extraordinary life on the outside, but inside our heart remains empty. No matter how much money you have or how famous you are, see. So this is a gift that for you to discover this extraordinary richness in your own spirit and heart. And then your life is completely transformed, you see. Amazing. And what human wisdom is doing is just trying to give you the tools to discover this inner richness for yourself.
Amazing. Thank you. One more question, and then I want to ask you one or two questions about your books. What is your vision for the Human Wisdom Project over the next 5 years?
You know, it's so simple. Alongside maths, science, and geography and history, if we can teach every child and young person, all the way from kindergarten to university, also there's a subject called learning about me, or whatever you want to call it. Call it wisdom, call it innate, doesn't matter. This can transform not only the individual life. So as your learning about yourself grows, you also grow in emotional intelligence. You know, 80% of a person's success now, they say, is connected to your emotional intelligence rather than your IQ. So not only will it help the individual be successful in the world, but it will also contribute to making the world a better place. So that's my vision.
Fantastic. But when you talk about learning about oneself, can you give me an example? I mean, does this mean introspection? Does it mean meditation? What are we talking about?
We're talking just about noticing. So there are 3 steps to inquiry. First, I notice something. Say you're my neighbor, you've got a new car. I notice that I'm envious. That's number 1.
Correct.
I want that car. The second step is to take ownership. Not to, because my mind is automatically going to think, oh, Ashutosh is showing off. He's just got a new car. He's doing it deliberately. He's parked it outside just for me to see. No, I take ownership of this feeling. It's coming from me. I'm curious. What's going on? And I ask a question. What's going on in my mind to make me feel this way? And then I realize, oh my God, my mind is comparing all the time. But I'm not aware of it. See? So when I ask a group of 13-year-old children, how their life would change if they were in charge of their own mind and their mind only compared itself with others when it served them. Ashutosh, this 13-year-old girl told me, I would be free. See the beauty of it, the power of it, and the simplicity of it, you see? So the understanding does all the work of bringing transformation. All you have to do is look, learn, ask a question.
Wow.
Be curious, that's all.
Great response. Thank you. So I'm going to now move to your other avatar as that of an author. I think you've got two books, Understanding Me, Understanding You, and Stress Free. Tell me a little bit about these books.
They're based on everything we've spoken about. They're based on just putting down on paper what is already in the app, which is just helping you understand the unconscious drivers in your own thinking, your own unconscious mind, and then applying that understanding to every aspect of your life. You know, if you think of a tree, big tree, and each branch has a problem, anxiety, stress, relationships. And we think we need a different fire extinguisher for each of them. But if you go to the root cause, you say, what's the root cause of stress? Then you come to the trunk of the tree, which is just inquiry. And the roots are all the things we've talked about. Conditioning, comparison, my mind is reactive. Or the more I learn about the unconscious mind, when I come to the top of the tree, all my problems have gone. So that's really the essence of stress-free, which is again saying the answer to it lies in you. So the beauty of that, see, most people assume my job's causing my stress or my partner's causing my stress. How can I be responsible? Not responsible. No, we're pausing judgment. We're saying this understanding empowers you to dissolve your own stress. Wouldn't you like that?
Right.
See, this understanding empowers you to dissolve the conflict in your relationships, to overcome anxiety, all of those things, overcome depression, live with joy.
Amazing, amazing. And my last question to you, Manoj, and this is for the thousands of people who will listen to our conversation. A lot of them are very young, a lot of them are entrepreneurs. Based on your own understanding of wisdom, of your own inner self, and the fact that you had such a successful career as a surgeon, what would you say are 3 lessons you would want our viewers and listeners to take away?
You know, first is kindness is the most important quality you can cultivate in yourself.
Correct.
It's a real mark of character. Try and live with kindness, whatever you do. And especially when it's hard is when it's most important.
Correct.
In the middle of a conflict with somebody.
Correct.
And so on. Number 1. Number 2, everything you seek in the world outside is already in you. I'm talking of beyond food, shelter, all that. The happiness you seek in the world is already inside yourself.
Correct.
And thirdly, all your suffering begins in your own thinking. So the answer to it also lies there. See.
Very interesting. And on that note, Manoj, and your 3 wonderful lessons, kindness is the most important quality. Live with kindness. Second, you said was what you seek is already within you. And the third one you said was your suffering begins within you, and the answer is also within you. Thank you so much for talking to me about your own journey. Thank you for talking to me about the Human Wisdom Project. And I certainly look forward to learning more from you about the Human Wisdom Project. What you said seems so simple that everything, all answers lie within you, and yet it is such a complex and difficult thing to internalize. And I'm sure the Human Wisdom app can give pointers to all our viewers and listeners about what you have shared with us. Thank you also for speaking to me about your books. Thank you again, and good luck.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the brand called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the brand called You.